Hey guys, welcome to Gambits. I'm so excited to announce that I just created another Leeches account for the purpose of speed runs, which many of you guys requested me to be doing from time to time. So I'll be using this new account for my new speed run series, and I hope you guys will be joining me almost every day to support the growth of this channel. Let's go. Alright, so here's my first game. What gambit can I play against my opponent? Okay, let me just start with pawn to e5. I'm playing against a 1056 rated player, by the way. So as you can see, my rating is quite low because this is a new account. So just like I said, I will try and grow this account up to somewhere around 2300 or 2500 in front of you guys. So I'm thinking of a gambit that I should play. Should I play the elephant gambit? Okay, so I think this looks fun. Let me try pawn to d5. The idea is just to go pawn to e4 if white takes. Okay, so white is clever enough not to take. But this allows me to go pawn to d4. So I don't think knight c3 was the best move. So let me go pawn to d4, chasing that knight away. Hope my opponent is not going to blunder. Okay, so knight d5. Okay, what else? I'm also thinking of playing pawn to f5 here because I can just take the pawn on e4 or something, and I can just win the knight straightforward, after playing this move. So I'll go for pawn to c6, just trying to get rid of white's knight on d5, trying to win it. So these are beginner mistakes that you guys need to be thinking about. White moved the same piece twice in the opening stage, which is not recommended, which is not allowed. So you can see they are forced to give up their bishop. This is a little trick. They think I can't take the knight because, this would be discovery check. You get it, right? So I can't take the knight because my c-pawn is pinned to the king, but I can take their, bishop. So white sacrificed his light squared bishop, not wanting to lose the knight. So they are happy to do this because they think I'm going to play something like pawn to f6 so that they can go queen h5 check and open up my king side. So by the way, I'm just up a full piece, a full bishop. And now I'm thinking what to do next. So when you don't know what to do, just think of your territory, guys. This is my territory, and I'm not happy with these two knights here. You don't have to allow your opponent's pieces to sit in your territory for nothing. So I'm going to start by attacking this knight while developing my knight. So let me do this. Knight c6, intending to trade off knights. This is a developmental move, and at the same time an attacking move. So this is a very good move. I anticipate something like pawn to f4 here, holding on to the knight and also developing something like that. I said it. That's how you predict moves in chess, but I knew this was going to be a blunder because after take I have queen h4 check, and then I take on e4 next and probably win the pawn on g2 or the knight. Why am I even thinking about taking the pawn? Check. So next I'm gonna win the free knight on d5 check, or maybe the rook on h1. So this is how you make moves, guys. So first of all, before I take the knight, I need to take a bigger piece with tempo. This comes with check. It forces white to make a move, to make a decision. After they do that, now that's when I take on d5. That's how we play chess, you guys. So already in the opening stage, I'm up by how many pieces? 2, 3 pieces. And my opponent just resigned. Or before we have another game, let me do some quick analysis. This is called the Elephant Gambit, guys. If you want to try out something new, look out for this gambit. After e4, I played e5, my opponent played knight f3, then I went pawn to d5. I told you my plans. The idea was that if white takes, I was going to play pawn to e4, attacking the knight, and they normally play queen e2 in this position, but this is where we go knight to f6. And again, you will see most of your opponents playing pawn to d3 because that's what theory says. But this is when you can simply go queen takes d5, getting back one piece. And most of them usually take back. But here there's a little trap that you need to be very careful of. You don't want to check with the knight simply because white can play knight g5 in this position, or probably knight c3, but that can be met with bishop b4. So knight g5 is what most people play here, and they are going to win your free knight on e4. So as black, you don't want to play this. By the way, you can't take their knight because it is defended by their dark squared bishop. Oh my god, you need to see all these things. So somehow you need to prepare yourself for these kinds of lines. I advise you guys to go through this line. I'm gonna do a video on this someday. I mean a tutorial video on the Elephant Gambit. So instead of taking with the knight after d takes e4, you want to take back on e4 with the queen, offering a queen exchange, which is okay, by the way. You guys don't be afraid to exchange your queen with your opponent's queen, because you know, as black, you have limited options. It's white's game, so at worst, you don't mind exchanging queens. It's them who are supposed to avoid exchanging queens very early in the opening stage. So you won't see most of your prepared opponents playing queen takes e4. Anyways, they play knight c3, asking you whether you really want to trade off your queen. I mean, you don't have to if you have other options like bishop b4, pinning the knight to the king. I'm teaching you theory, guys. Now this is when they'll probably take if they want to, but just like I mentioned, they try to avoid this exchange and play something like bishop d2. You can check in the Leech's database or the master's database. This is what people play, guys. Now what this bishop d2 does is that it unpins the knight. So you need to be very careful. You don't want to cut short, because white will just take your queen and you will look stupid or something. I was told the word stupid means slow in thinking or something like that. So this is when you want to take, or just go queen e6. I think queen e6 is not much of a stretch, because you would love them to take so that you can take back with a tempo. I mean, for example, if they take, this is when you take with your line squared bishop, and this is good for you because you took with a tempo by developing a piece which was doing nothing on c8. But under normal circumstances, you don't want to play queen e6. Theory says just exchange queens in this line and you are good to go. White has no serious attacks on you. The whole purpose of the Elephant Gambit, by the way, is just to open up some lines, to have a very open game and simplify things for the end game. Nothing so special, but you know, you just need to be careful. Anyway, when we go all the way back to move 1 after e4 and e5, my opponent played knight f3 and I played d5, and instead of taking, he played knight c3. And I was like, wow, because this allows me to go pawn to d4. These are some of the beginner mistakes that you guys need to be aware of. Why is knight c3 a bad move? Write this down. You don't want to develop your piece where it can easily be attacked by a pawn. So knight c3 walks into the path of d4. It invites pawn to d4. That's the problem. So I played d4, forcing white to move his piece for the second time in the opening phase, which is not advisable again. So never move a piece twice in the opening stage. That's just one of the opening principles. And out of everything my opponent could have done, such as knight e2, because the idea is to plant the knight on g3 someday, he played knight d5. So what's the mistake? The mistake here is that, again, you don't want to put your piece where it can easily be attacked by your opponent's pawn. I hope you wrote that down. Not to mention that knight d5 was kind of a one mover with no direction. See, this is a lonely knight here with no support. Point number 2 that you need to write down is lack of piece coordination. You want your pieces to be coordinated at all times. What do I mean? In simple terms, every piece must be protecting every piece. For example, this here is a great piece coordination because the queen is eyeing your knight on f3. It's defending the knight. But your knight on this square is not defended by any piece. It's only defended by a pawn and can easily be attacked. So you want to be developing your pieces in a way that they are defending each other. They are covering their backs. So that's piece coordination in simple terms. Anyways, this is not a tutorial video. It's a speed run trying to improve my rating by only playing gambits that I teach you on this channel, which is why you have all the reasons in this world to subscribe to this channel as a way of encouraging me to keep on making more wonderful videos just like this one. Let's have another game, probably the last one for the day before I end this video. Let's go. Alright, second game. I'm playing against a 1424 rated opponent. Okay, so they are playing the French defense and my opponent is playing very fast. So which gambit can I play against my opponent here? Oh, I'm thinking of the Alpine gambit. I want to go pawn to d4, the usual move, and then after they play d5, I go bishop e3, sacrificing my pawn on e4. One eyeball is also telling me to, see or to go knight f3. After d5, I should play something like pawn to d3, kind of the Tennyson gambit. And then, what else? Maybe go knight e5. So you obviously want to start making plans right on move 1, by the way. So which one am I going to play against my opponent? Just for fun, let me play the Tennyson gambit. Knight to f3. What is this? I was expecting my opponent to play pawn to d5, and you can see that my opponent is making, moves very fast. Probably he doesn't understand what he is doing. I mean, what is this move doing here? I don't understand. You need to be playing on the center of the board. This is where the game is. Come on. Anyway, in this case, let me just take the whole center. If pawn to d5, I wanted to go pawn to e5. Now, speaking of a gambit, I don't want to make things boring for you guys, so let me just go for it. I want to sacrifice at least a pawn, just to make a point. Now, this is a free pawn, right? I can take it whenever I want to, but I'm interested in, just shutting down all of black's dreams. How about I put my pawn on d6, because this will prevent black from developing his dark squared bishop and from developing his light squared bishop again, because they won't be able to move their d pawn. So this is how you limit your opponent's pieces. You don't just want to eat anything that you see on the board immediately. I always have knight takes e5, that's good. But this is more valuable than knight takes e5 because of what I just mentioned to you guys. Now my opponent can't develop his pieces normally. So they played pawn to c5, creating space for knight c6 next. But this is too late. First of all, I can go bishop b5. That's how bad pawn to a5 was for black. And yeah, let me do this, because this will allow me to take the knight. I'm also thinking of bishop g5 and this, or maybe instead of going bishop b5, I can just play this and this. It looks good, because if I play bishop c4, black is going to play knight c6. That's why they played pawn to c5, obviously. Yeah, I always have knight takes c5, just like I said. So I think bishop c4 wins. That's how we make plans, guys. Because after knight c6, I have queen d5. Yep. So speaking of piece coordination, this is another thing that most lower rated players don't make use of. Like, what is this pawn to h6 doing? Maybe they were afraid of knight g5, which I wasn't even thinking of. you saw from my analysis. So this allows me to go queen d5 immediately and probably mate someday, but anyways, black will play queen f6. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sacrifice my knight. In case you're still wondering what I'm talking about, let me show you. Or maybe just take here rather than sacrificing my knight there. So let me play, what am I going to do? Or maybe I can sacrifice my bishop first and then go queen takes, knight takes e5 check. But they are going to play this move. I have so many wonderful things to do, and I'm taking my time to make sure that you understand my thought process. Anything is playable here. So let me just play this move. Forcing queen f6, then take, yep. Or maybe I'm gonna take with the knight after queen f6. There are so many wonderful things here. My opponent didn't play wisely in the opening stage. Yeah, I anticipate queen f6. I actually wanted to sacrifice my bishop and then play knight takes e5, but I didn't like the idea of king f6 by black. Or maybe I was going to play something like this and checkmate. Why didn't I do that? But anyways, so queen f6, that is coming. So I'm gonna take with the knight if queen f6, threatening to capture the rook, the poor rook. So take with the knight. I'm not afraid of this move. By the way, there is no bishop takes because I will simply take back with my knight. Just like I said, I can take this, but which piece is more valuable between the rook in the corner or this bishop? It's the bishop. In this particular position, when you're starting the game of chess, yes, the rook is more valuable, and sometimes it depends on the position, the current position. So in this current position, a bishop is more valuable than the rook because this comes with check, and you see what I was talking about. I was about to capture black's light squad bishop, but I'm just gonna win their queen for free, by the way. So now I can go something like knight c3. Let me just finish my opponent very quickly. By the way, I can still win this for free, the pawn on c5, but I'm just taking my time because I don't see a reason to do that. Yeah, this looks good. This will be a check and I'll win. Black's rook on a8. Just want to force my opponent to go this side. This is nothing. I mean, this is a one mover. So let me just go for the kill, check. They have to go this side, I think. Oh. Okay, so which piece is more valuable again? Is it the rook? Or maybe I can just give them a check, because they will have to go back, and then I check, we check, they will come here, and then yeah, I think this is the way to go. So we don't just take pieces. By the way, black can't take me because the pawn is pinned to the king, so they can't take my knight. Now check, and then I have this queen check, but I guess they're going to go back. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This is checkmate, guys. Look at this. Oh, bam! No, I'm not gonna play another match. My opponent wanted a rematch, but this is all for today. Black can't just move his king. This is checkmate. Alright, so let me do a quick analysis just to see where my opponent went wrong. I started with e4. My opponent played pawn to e6. I thought he was going to play the French defense. I mean, if you play pawn to e6, the second move you need to think of is pawn to d5. But after I played knight f3, my opponent played something else, pawn to a5. What is this move? First of all, it leaves a weakness on b5. So this is not how to play the French defense. And this is why I hear most coaches saying the best training for beginners is studying some basic tactics such as captures, piece developments, simple puzzles, and Then from there, you move to opening basics. So by now, my opponent should have known how to play the French defense. And for beginners, I advise that they stick to standard openings like e4, e5, something easy to understand and to keep the game going. There was no proper piece coordination. Let me know if you think I should continue with these episodes or not in the comment section down below. I guess this will be very helpful for you guys, especially beginners and intermediate level players. If you want to take your chess seriously, you can visit my website www.kasperchess.com and get my courses. And I should mention to say you can now purchase my courses even with your PayPal accounts, something that you guys were not able to do all this while, and I just managed to configure that. Thank you so much for your support and hope to see you soon in my next video. Bye bye.